Well, hello and welcome. My name is Colin and I am the creator behind the Grey Wolf Bike YouTube channel featuring mountain bike content from here in Alberta, Canada. And I am also behind this garage channel, which features more content that may be directly related to or support my endeavors with the mountain bike channel, but is not explicitly mountain bike content itself. And so this video is an introduction to a new series that I'm going to be doing where we are going to be shopping for RVs and looking at them through the lens of a mountain biker. So we are going to be looking for the ability to take trailers up into areas such as where we're sitting right now, and we are going to look for trailers that have the ability to be off-grid or have some type of dry camping or boondocking capabilities, and that are designed with a bit of ruggedness in mind, but also again feature the abilities that cater to someone who is a mountain biker. In this introductory episode, I'm going to address where I'm coming from, as well as two other potential options and the reasons why I'm not exploring them. So let's get into it now. So for the last 2 years, I've been using a rooftop tent to do my travels. Simply being that the rooftop tent affords you a nice, comfortable sleeping experience that doesn't require the use of like sleeping bags and ultralight equipment. There's plenty of room inside for you to prop yourself up or sit up and even play a game of cards, but it is still fundamentally tenting. And I'd like to turn the clock back to February of this year when I went down to Bellingham in Washington, and I was doing some camping in the rooftop tent, and I absolutely froze my ass off. I was running a space heater inside of it, but logistically when it came to cooking and cleaning, it's all done sort of outside on the tailgate. So rooftop tenting, while it is a significant improvement over, say, a freestanding traditional camping tent in terms of your ability to use real bedding and have real pillows and have a lot more space for you or your potential partner or a pet, that sort of thing, you still are fundamentally tenting. There's condensation formation that can and will happen if there's a significant temperature differential, most especially if you are doing late season camping or winter camping, as I have done and do. And when you are packing up, you also have to be mindful of whether you're packing up with condensation or with wet and moisture on the outside. Because during the folding process, the bottom of your sleeping mattress and your bedding is even exposed. So if it's really coming down, obviously that's not great. The goal, or one of the goals I should say, by moving to an RV in the future would be to have the ability to do extended traveling durations where you're likely to encounter inclement weather, instead of being more of like a fair weather camper or like a weekender where you would just kind of pick and choose the times that you go out. So now I'd like to talk about van campers. And it's no secret that in the last few years, van campers have become exceptionally popular. However, I personally have previously advised people not to pursue van campers, and I have a few reasons for it, but I'd first like to address the benefits associated with the campers to give the best case scenario, or what you might call stone manning an argument, so trying to build up that argument for them. So a van can be very discreet form of camping. If you're doing kind of like urban camping or being in areas that you are not allowed to be in, as opposed to a traditional RV, especially when there's slides and awnings and leveling feet and all that, it just kind of looks a lot more involved than just a vehicle parked in a space. So optics. Second is the actual width of a van itself tends to be quite narrow, typically 6 feet or narrower. And that's good if you're trying to access mountain bike trailheads that might be up for service roads and you want to camp in that area that might be quite literally bench cuts on the side of a mountain where it's very narrow to pass even 2 vehicles at a time, let alone maybe a vehicle parked on the shoulder and pulling an RV past it. And third, Vans, especially the 4x4 ones with lifted access, you're just dealing with two axles, the front and the rear, and thus they tend to be quite capable in terms of going off-road. However, the financial aspect of van campers, I think, is an absolute deal breaker for myself, and I would put forth most people, for the simple reason that whether you are building it out yourself or whether you are purchasing a pre-made van camper, which are very expensive, typically, or I should say, it's not uncommon to see van campers in the $150,000 and $200,000 Canadian price points, you're quite literally investing in a depreciating asset. So, whereas an RV, when you go to sell, you're looking at the year, make, model, and condition, RVs don't have odometers. So you're assessing it for what it is. RVs are quite simple. They don't have an engine or a transmission or, comprehensive and expensive running gear. It is what it is. So people, can look at that and make a really easy valuation. And, whether or not that camper just sat in your front lawn the whole time or you took it all across North America. Whereas, if you had a van camper, even if you were, best case scenario, the most gentle to it and you only ever stayed on pavement or the occasional crushed gravel road, unfortunately, the more you drive that vehicle, the more the whole camper as a system is depreciating. So all your nice tile and all the effort that you've put into a good heating and a good food storage solution and a cool garage or whatever that is, all of that is being depreciated against the mileage of that vehicle, plus year, make, model, and condition. So the financial argument for van campers, I just don't think work. And quite literally, if you're parked somewhere where you're not supposed to be parked, for the most part, you're still going to get that knock on the window and asked to vacate, irrespective of what the vehicle looks like. And especially with most van campers having, climbable ladders and off-road tires and, light bars, unless you're trying to disguise it like a UPS van, it's going to still stick out like a sore thumb. So as much as vans, I think, are a cool concept, again, I would put forth their popularity was born out of the idea that if you're going to have one vehicle, you may as well just get a van and throw a bed in the back, and now it can, take you out for the ability to recreate and enjoy the sport of mountain biking. But I think if you're looking at it as a recreational vehicle and not just a primary vehicle with a mattress in the back, I really don't think the arguments, or the other benefits, I should say, really stack up against other options. So let's talk about one of the other options that you can look at or consider as a mountain biker, and that is actually a truck camper. Now, before you say, oh, I need a dually F350 and they're so super tall and really expensive, that's not entirely the situation. There's a company called Palomino, and they make a series of soft-sided pop-up truck campers called the Backpack. And though they do make models that are intended for, mid-sized trucks like your Tacomas, or full-size trucks with short boxes like this F-150, right up to larger units that would best be served on an 8-foot box and a Super Duty, be very careful about the weights to the payload capacities, because I think you will find, unless you have a absolute base entry-level truck with zero options and thus a really good payload package, or you've opted for a camper package if it's available on your particular vehicle, then those the truck campers are going to weigh more than what you are able to carry. And even if you are able to carry it, just remember that doesn't mean that if you're within the payload rating, it's going to be level. So you're probably also looking at like an airbag system. So if we rule out, some of the smaller offerings for, again, the midsize and even F-150s, and we just consider the Super Duty or heavy duty class pickup trucks and truck campers, to be entirely honest, that was, up until very recently, exactly what I wanted. And the reason being is that you still have all of the benefits that you would associate with a van camper. So a standard width vehicle, allows you to park on these, bench cuts in the mountain forest service roads. being just a truck and having something that is limited within its confines means that you still get great approach, departure, breakover angles, so you can push it really far into really off-road areas. As well, the soft-sided series from Palomino called SS means that it's inherently going to be not only much lighter weight, because when the roof comes down, they don't have room for upper wooden cabinets. And I'm not aware of any of the soft-sided that come fitted with an air conditioning unit. So they're, gosh, almost, in some cases like 1,000 pounds lighter than some of these traditional truck campers that you might be used to. And because they collapse down in height, the actual height of the camper over the roof of the pickup trucks maybe only like 16, 18 inches. So, 40 to 60 centimeters, something like that. And that's very minimal when you're thinking about going into areas that might have, low-hanging trees and branches and you're trying to maintain good clearance. Or even if you just want to keep fuel economy in mind, truck campers are great for that. So I've obviously talked it up quite good. You're probably wondering, why are we doing a series on RV campers? Well, the simple reason is COVID pricing. So we have seen in the last 3-4 years now where new truck prices have gone up by about 20% in the heavy duty class, and the used truck prices in the heavy duty class have in some cases gone right back up, if not higher than their original MSRP, and yet are 3-4 years old with 100,000 kilometers on it. And that to me it's an untenable situation. I refuse to buy into a situation where I'm paying more for a used vehicle than it was new, because I'm just paying a lot of money to have it now when I think it's reasonable to expect a massive depreciation on that in the future. The reason, or part of the reason I should say, for that has just been production delays with the heavy duty. So it's basic economics, supply demand. Moreover, we have seen in the RV category prices going up, and I say RV as the whole recreational industry, but truck campers were not spared from that either. So a brand new Palomino for an 8-foot box for a heavy duty class pickup truck, they used to be like $21,999, and you could get secondhand ones in and around like the $12,000, $15,000, $16,000 mark. Now, new, you're looking at $32,000, which represents a 30+% increase in cost. And you bet now you're looking at used ones that are again selling for the same as, if not more than, what they were new. So while I do think that that is actually the best option when it comes to the most capability and utility that you're going to be able to get out of any sort of like RV camper, the pricing just doesn't make it a worthwhile situation. How you doing?
Good, you?
Good, thanks. So that brings us back to RVs and towables. So right now we're seeing the automotive market for half-ton size trucks, even mid-size. I'm not saying go back down to pre-COVID levels. They're definitely elevated, but they're not elevated nearly to the same extent that we're seeing on the heavy duty end of the spectrum. So if you look at the total cost or total purchase or investment or whatever you want to call it, a towable plus a mid-size vehicle is going to be about the same as an often case used full-size heavy-duty class truck that you would be looking at for like a truck camper. So it just makes sense. Moreover, as I talked about earlier, a towable RV is not going to be subject to the same depreciation for mileage. So it's just kind of year, make, model, and condition, and that's it. So if you take care of it, RVs historically have a great resale value. They hold their value, maybe not quite as good as boats, but they do quite well. And I think, largely it's because consumers can just evaluate them for what they are. We can also, do our best to look for good quality products to purchase into, and especially with products that have been out for a few years, we can look at their residual values. So if we just go back, 1, 2, 3 years, however, you can sort of trend that out, and you can see that if you with certain models that we're going to see in this series, that they will actually hold their value. So an RV, while it won't offer the same capabilities, let's say, to go off-road, what we're going to do in this series is look specifically at the narrow 7-inch body campers. There are 7.5s, 8 foots, and 8.5, like the 102 class, but we're going to focus on the narrower 7-foot class. And the reason being is that's going to still give us the best possible opportunity to access some of these, great off-road areas, even the area that I'm currently sitting in right now. We're also only going to look at RVs that, again, offer, race suspension, knobbier tires, that have more capabilities like solar and lithium-ion batteries that allow for extended boondocking, or, what's called dry camping. And that tends to be, again, the areas that us mountain bikers venture into. Of course, there's still going to be many scenarios and situations where, quite frankly, just the best camping alternative might be a provincial or national park. And so, you have all of the conveniences still, like, the ability to plug into 110 volt. Yeah, I think RVs really, at least as of the time of this recording, are the best investment with the broadest market from a resale perspective, because even though we haven't bought it, I'll speak for myself, I always like to look at what my exit strategies are, and I want to make sure that I'm not going to make a big purchase that's going to have a really, really steep depreciation in a short period of time. So I look forward to you joining me on this journey. We have, or I should say, I have a few trailers lined up that I actually have not even seen myself in person, I think, with exception of one, and even then that was not a really thorough assessment of it. So this is going to be a learning experience just as much for myself as it is for you. And I'd like to give just maybe a bit of credibility to myself. So between myself and my mother, we're both avid campers. I have more experience on the backpacking and tenting and rooftop tenting experience. But between the two of us, we have owned tent trailers, hybrids, which is a RV that has a soft-sided flip out, right up to 35-foot long RVs with double slide outs and fireplaces and heated massaging chairs, you name it. So I look forward to sharing with you and the benefits of my experience while we go ahead and we kind of assess and review some of these trailers. So again, thank you very much for watching. Greatly appreciated. I hope you found this video informative, or at least helped, maybe pose some questions about, your needs and whether or not, what you're thinking about is the best for you. So until then, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. If you liked what we're talking about here, please consider giving it a like button, or pressing the like button. It helps other people find the video. And if you would subscribe, that would mean the world to me, because that means you will get notified when successive episodes are uploaded. So until then, you take care, and bye for now.